I lost a cousin who was hit while he was riding his motorcycle. Somebody took the red light. When we were gathering, and not for his funeral, but we were just gathering as a family, it was like a night before, and I was praying. I was like, show me that you're here. Show me that you're here, just to bring me comfort. I didn't know that asking for a sign was not really asking that person for a sign, but it was inviting dark spirits to be like, yeah, I'm here. Like pretending to be that person. And I remember one night, my eyes were closed and I was going to sleep, and I seen his face, my cousin's face. He was like my best friend, and it was getting closer. And I was like, oh no, this is not him. It was his face, but I knew it wasn't him. And so I would say at that moment, that's when a lot of things changed, because I was constantly like, show me you're here. Like, I'm so desperate. I need your presence. I need something to like make me feel okay. But later on, I found out I was inviting like spirits to kind of like mess with me. And I didn't know something like that. But like when I woke up, my dog was growling in my face and I couldn't move. And I started praying. And I'm like, at that time, I wasn't really in a praying person, but it was like, oh, just come, like, help me, like, whatever's happening, God, I just need you to show up. And then I fell asleep.
Okay, let's have a talk. Visitations from the dead are not good. Visitations from the dead are not good. Visitations from the dead are not from God. Before you come at me about your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, let's talk about it. The Bible says that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. In Hebrews, it also says that when a man dies once, he then faces judgment. Okay, so we know that the human spirit does not have the authority to linger between the natural realm and the spiritual realm. He has no authority. He is subject to judgment. Okay, so if that is true, and since that is true, actually, why do people experience ghosts? Or why do people experience visitations from dead people? Now, we're not talking about dreams. We're talking about physical visitations, just as Karina explained. Now, someone may bring up the scripture when Saul uses the witch doctor to bring Samuel back from the dead. First off, he wasn't supposed to do that, which is why when Samuel was brought back up in that visitation, he cursed Saul. And I believe that God allowed that to happen because he was bringing Saul into further judgment, because Saul was off the hinges so much, looking to fill the voids of himself. He was not waiting on God. He was not looking for God. He was looking for control. And in our grieving, we have to be careful with how much we are willing to try to control this grieving by reaching back out to the person that we are missing. So much so that we allow the enemy a foothold. He will fabricate and manufacture a relationship for your desperation to fit. Grieving the loss of someone is real, and allowing the Lord to comfort us in that place of desperation can also be a reality for us. But we have to learn to be desperate for him, or else we open the door for other things.
The next day, I went to that family gathering, and I was telling my little cousin, I was like, hey, like, last night was crazy. You know, I seen Max in my dreams. And, you know, like, I was just telling her about everything that happened. And from across the room, I hear, what did you say? And my aunt sounded very angry. My aunt is actually a pastor in Pennsylvania. And she's like, what are you saying? And I was like, I didn't swear. That was my first instinct. Right. I didn't swear, I promise. Like, I don't know what you're mad about, but I promise I did not swear. And she was like, what were you telling her? And I was like, well, I was just telling her that last night, I try to find comfort, and I was asking Max to show me that he's there. And she freaked out. She was like, everybody get up, hold hands, start praying, don't stop no matter what's happening. And I was like, what? that's weird. Like, what's going on here? You know, like that's never happened before.
Right, what's going on?
Yeah, like, okay, what are you doing? Like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to chill. Like, it's not that serious. And she was asking me, what time was it? And I was like, I don't know. It was like 3:20, 3:15. And that's the trigger point. That's when she made everybody get up. And she's like, hold hands, pray, and don't stop holding hands. Don't stop praying no matter what happens. I was like, what's going to happen? Like, you're crazy. Like, something's happening. Like, I don't know what's going on. But like, clearly something's wrong. Like, I don't know what's going on with you. And so we're praying. And I didn't know how to pray. I'm just like, yes, God, like, be here. You know, because you're so far away from him. You don't really know what to say, especially to a God that you're not close to, that you know nothing about. Like, how do I pray? So I was just there. I was like, yes. And I was trying to like listen to what they were saying so that I can say something similar. And I was just like, yes, just come. Yeah, yes. Just come into this room. Yes. And at that point, I was hearing doors slam. Like the dogs were growling at us. The house phone is ringing. And this is a time where nobody was calling house phones. Like, this was 2013. So cell phones were pretty much a thing back then still, right? And all the things, cops showed up in the back door. Like, it was so weird. And my aunt started speaking in tongues. And I was just like, the last time I heard that was when I was growing up in church, and I didn't know anything about tongues at that time. Suddenly everything calms down. And my aunt's like, okay, like everything's fine now. And my aunt goes, did anybody understand what I was saying? In my mind, I was like, you're speaking in tongues. Like, who understands that? That's literally my thought. I was like, what? Like, who understands anybody that speaks in tongues? But my cousin, she goes, you were talking about Karina. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, that's weird. And she goes, yeah, that they're fighting for her life. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And she was saying that the darkness and the light are both fighting for my life, but the darkness is winning. And I was like, what? Like, that's when things started becoming clear. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And my aunt goes, they're winning? And my cousin goes, you said that they're winning. And I was just like, excuse me? Like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean that they're winning? Wow. And it was because of the type of life that I was leading, right? So like, I had a boyfriend at the time, and we were drinking and smoking all the time. We were doing whatever we wanted, living in sin, just thinking that we're fine. Like, you know, like we're doing what everybody else around us is doing. We're not, sinning more than anybody else, right? So I was like, why would I be a target? And it's because the Lord had a calling on my life. So there was a battle that I didn't know was happening until that day. But guess what? I still was doing whatever I wanted. And that's when I was spearheading into still doing whatever I wanted, because I thought I knew what was best. And the Lord was still trying to make a way. And that's when I started getting closer to the time where I finally surrendered to the Lord. That's when the enemy started coming closer. It's almost like he knew that I was shifting away, that in my spirit, the Lord was taking me away, because there was times where I would go clubbing and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, it's dark in here. And weird things like that started happening randomly, not like something grand happened. It was just like, I don't feel like I belong in this place. It was a huge shift. You know, it was like I was in San Diego when that happened. I was clubbing and I was just like, yeah, no, like this is really dark. I don't want any part in this. And I wasn't in church. I wasn't praying at that time. And then
it was just your humanity, just like,
yeah, like my spirit was seeking the Lord, and I didn't know that. And the Lord was like, I'm coming. Like, don't you worry. Like, your time is coming. And I didn't know any of that, but my spirit was looking for the Lord, and it won't find any comfort in anything else. I would say in 2015, when I was at my very lowest, that's when the Lord was like, that's enough. Like, it's time for you to like come to me and start serving me, which is a crazy story in itself. I was in my room, and it was in the middle of the night, and I was dealing with like one of the darkest nights that I've ever had. There would be times where I didn't want to go to sleep because the enemy would be waiting for me in my dreams, but I didn't want to stay awake. the devil. He was tangibly even in my room, right? So where he would be like, you can go to sleep and I'll be there, or you can stay awake and I'm gonna be right here on your bed. Like, you choose, but you're not escaping me. And
this is in like reality.
this is in reality. Yeah, I was just sitting there and I was like so consumed by darkness, such a tangible darkness, that I started praying. Like, I was like, Lord, I need you to come. You need to come now, because like I can't handle everything that I'm dealing with mentally. Life was a mess and I put myself in that situation. I 100% like belong there because of everything that I did, you know? And I would say after I was praying and crying, I'm literally crying out for the Lord, I received a text message from a friend who was a believer. And he's like, I feel led to pray for you. What's going on right now? I was just like, what? Like, what's happening here that you're texting me in the middle of the night? Because that's what it was, literally in the middle of the night. And he's asking me how he needs to pray for me. That was the Lord, obviously, because this person never, one, texts me in the middle of the night. Two, like, never asked me what I need prayer in. So that's how I knew that the Lord really was being intentional. That despite me 6 months prior completely saying that the Bible wasn't true, I literally said that the Bible was a storybook for children back then. You know how we have like storybooks to help kids go to sleep? I said to several people that that's what the Bible was. And it's funny how 6 months later, the Lord was like, joke's on you, because I'm going to prove that like this is real. I'm real. My word is real. And this is not what you're going to live your life off of, which is insane to me. But, you know, like, he has a sense of humor and he's always intentional and showing us like who he is. So it's just interesting on how he works out in the little things and reveals himself even when we're so far from him, even when we reject him, even when we want nothing to do with him. Mostly because sometimes we think about what we need to give up in order to be able to serve him. That's why a lot of people don't do it. That's why I didn't do it. I was like, I don't want to give up having fun, whatever fun was at that time. I don't want to give up all of these things just to serve a God that I don't really know existed at that time, you know? And so I was just like, no, like, why would I want to give up that just for this, for a boring life, you know?
On my best days, I'm a good friend, I'm a good lover, I'm a darn good creative, and I give some pretty good advice. But on my worst days, I need that advice. I need that encouragement. I need to look at my creations and have them remind me of something good inside of me. I need to be seen. I need forgiveness. Whether on my best or worst day,
Stop looking at me.
I know one thing. I'm just a vessel. And in this life, I need all the created grace that God bestows upon those who follow and love Him for the days ahead and behind me.
Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below. And then secondly, go to abbaandme.com. Check out our fashion line and all of our products that encourage intimacy with God and the well-being of His people.